welcome to Learning Music with Pat. Today I decided I would show you one of the smallest instruments I own. I have one instrument that's a tiny bit smaller, but it's more or less a novelty item. This instrument is a real instrument, and it's called a mini ocarina. Very, very, very little. It's about 1 to 1.5 inches square, that's all. Very, very tiny. It is able to play a whole scale in the key of C. I can run up and down the scale. I can play songs with it. I have played simple songs with it. I've played Alleluias with it just as a novelty in front of people, and they're just really amazed at how well this sounds. It is pitch perfect in the key of C. All of the notes are pitch perfect, and it has good volume to it. You know, I could just play it and play it fairly loud. It's not a squeaky little tone. It's a healthy little tone from such a tiny instrument you would never imagine. Now, I want to explain a little bit what it's about. It is based on some of the physics that you use when you're playing the recorder. When you're playing the recorder, you have the mouthpiece, and below it you have a little labium. In fact, I'll just demonstrate with the real thing here. You have your mouthpiece. You have a little labium, which is right here. This is where the air comes out, and then on the back of it, you have your tone hole for the thumb, and then you have tone holes in the front of it so you can play scales, and you can play sharps and flats. Now, this little tiny mini ocarina is not good for sharps and flats. It's just so little, but it has many of the same features as a recorder. For example, here's your mouthpiece right here. I hope you can see that all right. That's your mouthpiece. The labium is going to be right here. It's a little tiny squarish place, but that's where the air comes out. You do have a tone hole in the back, just like you do the regular recorder. Then you have the rest of the tone holes in the front. So you would hold it like this, and this little piece goes into your mouth. And it's got a good sound. For the size of it, it's got a very good sound. And it can play loud enough so you can play solos in it once you learn the fingerings. The fingerings are going to be a little bit different because your holes are beside each other. They're not up and straight up and down like a recorder would be, but the principle is still the same. The tiniest finger hole is right above my finger, my forefinger, just a tiny, it's almost like the size of a pinprick. It's very, very small. Yeah, you've kind of got it. That's good. And that's the whole thing, a whole thing. It's called a mini recorder. It's called a mini ocarina. That's what it is. So I want to mention a little bit about the ocarinas. This is a unique item because it is so tiny. But ocarinas come in wood, in different sizes, in plastic, in clay. I didn't bring them all with me, but I wanted to show you a typical ocarina. This is still small. You still have the mouthpiece in the front. You still have the labium right here. You still have the tone hole in the back. And there's another little hole underneath that, and then you have your holes which are side by side. And I don't play songs on this, but it does have a healthy sound, and you can play really quite loud. So this is a wooden one, but as I say, they do come in clay, and they do come in plastic. The little mini ocarina was in plastic, and this is a sweet potato ocarina. It doesn't play well at all. It really is kind of sad, you know. But they used to produce them, and people used to try to play them. There's not a lot you can play with it. The sound is very, very weak. So let me tell you a little bit about the history of the ocarinas. you can get big ones, you can get fairly large ones, and they have a beautiful tone and they play magnificently. So it's not like just a little unusual instrument that you play around with. There are some people that do beautifully playing ocarina. They have larger ones, they have expensive ones. You can get them in different kind of price ranges, and they play beautifully. But I want you to take a look at this chart. The ocarina, it's a portable woodwind instrument, a portable wind instrument, and it was used a lot by ancient Indian tribes, and it kind of had a worldwide history because they used to make them out of clay. They used to make them in the shape of mystical animals with 4 legs and a tail. You'd never recognize what the animal was. I think it was more a cultural thing. I don't think they were aimed to look like real animals, but you could tell. They had a little stomach and a little head, and they had little legs, and you blew into it, and there was a chamber so you could make noises out of it. And then gradually over the years, they came a little more sophisticated and a little more sophisticated, and finally in Italy, they called them ocarinas. They started playing them and calling them ocarinas. Before, they were called globular flutes, and that's kind of a hard word to say, but they were called ocarinas, and then they got more and more sophisticated. Indian tribes used them, and primitive tribes used them, and they were used a lot in Asia. Anywhere. You could get ocarinas anywhere. And by the time they got to the United States, they were fairly popular in Europe for a long time. Then the United States got them, and they were popular in the United States. Now, the little sweet potato ocarina was made for the troops in World War II. In World War II, the government produced many of these, and the purpose was to be a morale booster and have the soldiers be able to play some music and have something to do. And they were elongated, like this has become elongated. So this is a sweet potato ocarina. I'm not sure where the term sweet potato came from. They're not made out of potatoes, but they call it the sweet potato ocarina. And they're an interesting little instrument. They're just a very interesting little instrument. I could try to play this, but I don't think I'm even going to get much of a sound out of it if I do. But I could try. They couldn't have been much of a morale booster, actually, but that's what they were made as, and they probably made them of a lot higher quality. The last show I played my little Pro Piper, which cost me $1.98, and this one cost about the same. Just very inexpensive. But it does play, it does make noises, and I can use it as a teaching tool because people are curious about it. This one has got a group of numbers on it. It's considered to be an alto. So I think they probably come in different sizes of sweet potato ocarinas with different keys and so forth, and so you can play different things. And in the back, you have your tone hold, you have a thumb hole, and it still is like, in many ways, is like a recorder. The mouth is right here. And then you have the labium, which is probably in the back. That would be the labium. Thumb hole in the back for tones. And then the rest of these little holes are for just playing different notes. So, it's never going to take a grand prize, but it is kind of interesting. I do have some made out of clay, and I will bring them at some time. But right now, I didn't bring them all. I just had too much to carry. So these are the ocarinas. And if you ever get a good one, then you've got a good thing, because if you get one that's fairly expensive and it's fairly large, they do play very well. And you can play a lot of beautiful music with them if you get something that's more than just cheap. A lot of them come from Peru. They've been hand-painted on clay. They've been made so you can wear them. The mini ocarina here is made to be worn. It has its little neck strap so you can wear it. But you know, the clay ones are fairly large. They're like this, orange, and they've got a lot of hand paintings on them, and you can wear them. And a lot of times, if I'm doing a music seminar, I'll take some of the clay ocarinas and I will wear one. And it has beautiful ornate crosses painted on them, and the clay is kind of a reddish clay, and they're all hand painted. And they do play. They'll play a scale. I can play some songs on them, so it is kind of interesting. Well, I decided that now that I've shown you that, I'm interested in playing an instrument here, a song here that's called Simple Gifts. Simple Gifts is a song that has been written by a shaker. It's a shaker hymn. And I open and close the show with this song. You'll recognize it because you will hear me playing it. When I'm playing it to open and close the show with, I've recorded it on an E-flat penny whistle, and it goes well with an E-flat penny whistle. But I'm doing it here. I want to read a poem that goes with it. This Simple Gifts is like a dance. And it talks about the dance steps in poem form. And as I said, it's a shaker hymn, but let me read this to you. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. With truth, simplicity is gained. To bow and to bend, we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning, we come round right. That's the dance. So there's evidently a lot of twisting and turning and walking around as the music is being played. So I'm going to play this on a C Melody recorder, and we'll do the single track, number 4, and we'll try it with that, then we'll do the double track after that. It's just a delightful, nice song. It's used a lot for ceremonies and dances and that kind of thing, because it really is a nice song. So let's try that again, and I'm going to do it on the double track. Now, let me dissect this for you so you'll know what it is we've been playing if you've been watching this at all. It's in the key of 4/4. That means 4 beats to a measure. The title is Simple Gifts Melody. It is in public domain. A lot of people use it for that reason. You don't have to ask for permission. And there are a lot of different kinds of arrangements to it. So you start really on the 4th beat. 1, 2, 3, and this is 4th. This little measure, this little marking right here, that's a 2-beat rest, and this mark right here is a beat rest. So 1, 2, 3. So you start on the 4th beat, and that's a D, and then you start the regular song after that. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and remember, one beat will get one quarter note, will get one beat, and it'll be a half beat for all of the eighth notes. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. You've got 4 quarter notes right here, excuse me, and then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and it keeps on going. And when you get down to about here, it changes key. What I've done is I put a hold on this note right here, so you're going to hold it longer. You're probably going to slow down, although I haven't specified that you would slow down, but you could slow down because you're really starting this song again in a different key. I've put it in the key of D, which is one step higher than C. It's 2 sharps instead of 1 sharp, so you've got the F sharp and you've got the C sharp. From there on in, it will be in the key of D for the rest of the song. And so it pitches up a little higher, and you have the same kind of thing. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and then you 4 quarter notes, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you keep going on. Now, you will have some accidentals because of the fact that it's in a different key, so it's going to sound a little different. And when you get to the bottom here, you usually start slowing down, and you kind of retard it at the end. Now, I don't always retard it at the end, but most time you do. Most of the times you will. So it's not a hard piece to play. It's a sprightly, very nice piece to play, and you don't have to worry too much about it. Once you get into it, it just kind of goes. You don't have to worry about it. So that is the song, Simple Gifts, that I open and close the show with, except I wrote a different arrangement for the show, and I'm doing it kind of without any accompaniment, and I'm doing it in the key of E flat on a penny whistle rather than doing it in the key of G or D on the recorder. Now, I'm going to do another song here. It's going to be, I'm going to show you, this is more like a march. And it repeats. I don't know if I'll take the repeat or not, but I've got it marked out as a repeat. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then I have a repeat sign here, and I would play across. And when I get to here, this is known as the first ending. And when I get to that repeat, I go back here because it's already marked that that's the place to go to, and you play it again. When you get here, you skip this. This is the first ending. You skip it because you've already played it once and go to the second ending and then continue to the end of the song. So I will play that and probably close with that because we're getting toward the end of time. But let's do number 5 and single track, and then we'll do double track. Okay, let's do it again with the double track. Now you notice at the end of that I have put in a stinger. A stinger is that little note at the end, and there's a little dot on top of it. It's a short note. So if I'm going to play, and we don't need the background music for this, if I go, most marches have stingers on the end of it. It's like, now we're done. This is it. This is the point that you have to make. So this is a march. It's just the way that marches go, and I have written it in 4/4. However, sometimes I could have written it in 2/2. A lot of marches are written in cut time. But this is the way I've done it because I thought it would be easier to teach you counting the notes, knowing where the repeat is, going back to the repeat, after you go through the first ending, going back to the repeat, then playing the second ending and playing the rest of the song. And when you get to the end, you have that stinger. You don't have to slow down first. If you're playing a stinger, usually the speed is up and you just play it and that's it. You don't necessarily have a retard beforehand, and then your 2 little hash lines tell you that that is the end of the song. Now, we don't have a lot of time left, so therefore I'm going to close it here, and we'll do something else next time. Please join me then.